Sky players, WNBA players at large, they're not used to the amount of attention that they have gotten this year. The amount of commentary that Dana Evans has gotten and Isabel Harrison has gotten about their game, about what's happening, personal attacks towards them, like, they have never experienced this, guys. We are in a new era of women's sports. We're in a new era of the WNBA where these players, they could have terrible games. And a couple people talk about it, but it's not a big deal. In the past, Dana Evans could have a bad game. Isabel Harrison can have a bad game and go on social media right after and scroll and not really see much, right? The town square for the WNBA was very, very small. So you could have bad games, you could have stuff going on. And yeah, maybe a couple people talk about it, but not a lot, but like very, very, like maybe 5 people talk about it. Like it's not a big thing. It's small. But this year, with the influx of college basketball fans who have came in, right? With the attention that Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and others have gotten, their fan base has come on board, right? That fan base, and then also other fan bases as well. And these people are paying attention. They are paying attention and they are blowing stuff up. And ultimately, for WNBA players as a whole, and now, guys, this is the Chicago Sky talking in this one, and at times they were specifically calling out Sky fans and whatnot. But this is a WNBA thing as a whole. Like, this is a thing. WNBA players need to be media trained, social media trained. They do. This is a thing that NBA players have gotten before, right? Men's college basketball players, even men's high school players, NBA players, they all receive way more negative attention and hateful comments and all this other stuff than WNBA players. Way more. Even high school boys basketball gets more for the most part. They get more than the average WNBA player gets on social media. But WNBA players, women athletes are not used to this, with maybe the exception of tennis players and gymnasts. That's about it. And probably now, for our small stint, it was women's soccer players who kind of got that as well. This is growing pains for the WNBA. That's what this is. That's what I chalk this up to. Yes, people should be better. Absolutely. But the WNBA, Kathy Engelbert, the powers that be in the league office, needs to invest in media training, because that's what the guys get. That's what the guys get. They get way more hate than WNBA players the average WNBA player will ever get. Of course, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese do get a disproportionate amount of that, but other players do as well. And it's important for them to expect it. And they kind of said that in the post-game interview, is that they now know, like, they were caught off guard. The Chicago Sky locker room was caught off guard with the amount of attention that they got this year. And they were caught off guard with the way that things automatically went personal quickly. So when we talk about criticism of players, not a big deal, right? Players get criticized all the time. Oh, you played a bad game. You had a bad game. You need to do XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Not a problem. Now, again, guys, that's what I do on this channel. Like, I am not everything's honky dory with the Chicago Sky and with the WNBA and whatnot. I talk about issues that I see. I talk about ways for improvement. I talk about stuff. Like, guys, you all have heard me this year multiple times talk about Dana Evans, and while I do think she's a fantastic player, she is a bad passer, and she should prioritize just shooting that ball. Instead of being a point guard, she should be a shooting guard. I have said that countless of times. that's not an issue. That's not a big deal. Providing constructive criticism and whatnot is not a problem. Isabel Harrison, she just got back from being injured all last year, and she's a player that I talked about her sort of consistency with her jumper. She's a good player, but sometimes her jumper just isn't falling, and that sort of hurts her overall game for that particular game. It's not an issue. It is not an issue, sort of criticizing players, but I think there has been a large amount of extracurricular stuff that's been talked about that players just aren't used to, and it's not cool. Like I've heard some stuff supposedly that was said towards players that had nothing to do with basketball. Like maybe like the impetus of it was basketball, but then it like swerved over to like very, very personal stuff and accusations and all this other stuff. And that's not cool. Like that's not cool. But at the same time, that's sports. Like that is sports, ladies and gentlemen. That's sports. So it's one of those things that unfortunately you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the good with the bad. Shay, thank you so much for the super chat. Says Quita, half of the people in this chat is what they are talking about. Just awful, hateful, not constructive criticism. Yeah. I mean, and that's we're gonna get that. And personally, I want to address it and whatnot, but at the same time, this is basketball, guys. Like this is a little bit more of a taste of what men's basketball players have been getting for years. All right. You literally have had people for years call LeBron LeBum, talk about Draymond Green like a dog, talk about the Chicago Bulls. Like, Chicago Bulls fans have talked a whole bunch of trash about the Chicago Bulls. And it's not really talked about that much in men's sports because they're used to it, right? But WNBA players are not used to it, regardless of if it's okay or not, because there is some stuff. There is some stuff that that is very toxic about men's fans, men's sports fans, right? But there's a level of this doesn't matter that exists in men's sports, and it doesn't in women's sports, because women just haven't experienced it. Like this was not a thing for the WNBA. Like guys, literally, there could be terrible games left and right, and nobody would bat an eye and say that much about it. Like it wasn't a big deal. But now, because of betting, because of fan bases and whatnot, like it causes a lot of commentary. And while you can just say, players, toughen up, stop being so sensitive, stop crying. It is what it is. While you can say that, and that perspective is valid in my opinion. It's also, guys, you have to remember that these people are human. These people are human and they deal with a lot of emotions, and it takes a toll. Like Dana said, it takes a toll on your mind. When, after a game, you hop on social media because you enjoy social media, and then you see, yes, you see criticisms of how you played in that game, but you also see, that's why you going to China, pack your bags, you are terrible, learn to speak another language because you ain't gonna be in the WNBA this year, and you see all this stuff, and it's like, what, guys? I tried my best. Yes, I messed up, and yes, give feedback and commentary and whatnot. But to be in my DMs saying all this crazy stuff that has nothing to do with basketball, to be in my mentions, to tag me constantly about making fun of me and saying all this other stuff, like, especially with people with the Chicago sky in their profile picture, with the Chicago sky in their sort of profile description, for these to be from at least Izzy and Dana's perspective, Sky fans who are saying this type of stuff, they're taking it and they're like, man, what? Are you really a Sky fan? Like you are really, really tearing this team down. Are you really a Sky fan? Fans come in all shapes and sizes. There are fans who focus on constructive criticism. There are fans that if you do something they don't like, they will tear you down. It is what it is. It's not right. Yeah, sure. People have said some horrible stuff. I have seen it with my own two eyes. The stuff that was said about Diamond DeShields and about how people literally were wishing that she was dead and that her tumor came back. That it's stuff that has been talked about this year that has nothing to do with basketball. But this is the internet. Welcome to the internet, WNBA. Welcome to the internet, Sky players. This is what happens on the internet. It sucks. It's not good. But this is the future. So ultimately, you got to adjust. The WNBA, Sky, front office, you need to do more to support these players. You need to hire psychologists for these players. You need to hire, media trained, like people who train NBA players in terms of media awareness, and like how journalists even try to trip you up, how people online will try to trip you up and say all this stuff, and how you need to stop reacting to it. You need to stop reacting to it, because once people see you react to the negativity, oh, they about to dogpile now. And guys, it's funny that it's not funny, but it's interesting that after this was said, all on social media, you saw people up in the ante about some of the stuff they were saying about her, about these players. Oh, y'all suck. Y'all some wimps. Oh, y'all need to just go overseas and blah 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 blah. So once people see you react to what their foolishness, oh, they keeping it going. They keeping it going because they're like, oh, I got you. You paying attention to me. I got you. And so it is what it is. It's not good. It's not, and absolutely stop fans who are people who are doing that. It's fine. Talk about basketball. If you have criticism about how Dana Evans is playing, talk about it. No issues with that. If you have criticism about how Izzy is playing, talk about it. No problem with that. But when you start to make stuff personal, when you start to have personal attacks on players and who they are as people, and making fun of them in a way that's way further than basketball, that's a problem. But at the same time, fans are not going to stop doing that. They've been doing that for forever. And there's people who are like very internet focused, who would never say this to actual people in real life. But on social media, people are big and bad, and they want to talk all this stuff. But in real life, they wouldn't keep that same energy. That's the internet. Welcome to the internet in 2024. It is what it is, and you need to be prepared for it. Zola says, round of applause to LSU for media training, for training Angel with media. Yeah, y'all, Angel's very good. Very, very good. Of course stuff gets to Angel as well, but like I feel like of all the players in the WNBA, the people who were most prepared for this moment right now, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Diana Taurasi, right? Those players were pretty prepared for it. They were pretty, in my opinion, sort of prepared for what was going on. They're prepared for where we are in the WNBA, because they've experienced a lot. And so yeah. But guys, social media is not real. It's not. Most of the time people say stuff about you on social media, they would never say it in real life. Never, ever, ever say it in real life. All right? So that's the thing that you just, it is what it is. You have to understand that this is not real life. Yes, it will get to you. Yes, it's not cool, but people do whatever they want to do, and people say whatever they want to say, and if you react to it, they are more likely to up the ante and do it a whole lot more. This is where we are. So ultimately, it sort of is what it is. Photography says these players have never had to deal with real coverage and attention before. This is what every player in major sports leagues have to deal with. Get used to it because this is the way it is. Yes. Photography, yes. You are absolutely right. Yeah. You are I completely agree with your statement. Yeah. WNBA players have never had to deal with they had some coverage, but before 2 years ago, the Sky had one reporter who actually covered the team, and that was Annie Constable for the Sun Times. Right now, you still got the Sun Times covering it. Now you got the Tribune that has a has a dedicated reporter. You have the TV outlets who sometimes swoop in to cover something, usually something either like milestoney or controversial. You have a lot of people who want to make money off of the WNBA, starting to cover it too, and they have wild takes. There is a lot more attention. There's used to be there was a lot less questions asked in post game pressers and whatnot. There were a lot less questions because I've been watching this guy for forever. I've watched a lot of press conferences over the years. There's way more questions now than there really has ever been. Besides the year that like when Candace Parker first came to the Sky, there was a lot of press then, and then it died down. And then after they won the championship, it was a lot of press, and then it died down again. We've seen consistently way more questions asked in post-game pressers than we have in the past for all teams. There is a extra level of attention that these players are getting, and they got to be careful. You got to be careful how you answer questions because maybe they may be worded in certain ways, right? You have to be careful about what you see on social media because that may affect your ability to play the game. You got to have television, man. Yeah, do your stuff on social media, be active and whatnot, get those endorsement deals, post and whatnot, share your life and whatever, but maybe you should have an intermediary. Maybe you actually shouldn't be actually touching the social media. Maybe you should go through somebody else. Somebody from your camp should be posting all this stuff on social media. Maybe you just shouldn't see it. Because some people just aren't built for social media. Some people just aren't. Some people are not built for it, and that's okay. All right? So Dana's thoughts and commentary is valid. Izzy's thoughts and commentary is valid. It sort of is what it is. Shelly says that's why Angel got her manager handling her social media. Oh, I didn't know that. But if that's true, that's awesome. Yeah, I think more people should probably do that. Like you don't need to be seeing everything people be sending you. You don't need to be seeing that. Dave, I would say fast forward to or rewind to the earlier part of the stream. I played a post game video from yesterday's post game press conference with Dana Evans and Isabel Harrison, and they were talking about the toll that this season has taken on them and how they've never experienced so much hate and vitriol that they have this season, and that and they specifically called out Sky fans twice. They specifically called out people who consider themselves Sky fans twice, and so that's what we're talking about in this stream. But I'm also just sort of talking about fans in general, guys. It is what it is. Dana specifically, a specific quote that she said during this press conference, she said, "When you got people that steady bash you, that's supposed to be our supporters. I feel like it was a slap in the face. That was hard to kind of deal with. The season really challenged my mental on another level, and I feel like I'm going to be so much better next season mentally. And I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that she is going to be more prepared next season. But I hate the fact that she feels the way that she does. It sucks. It sucks. Izzy said, I never experienced this amount of hate and harassment from this entire season. She says, I know Dana went through the same thing, and it's hard because it should have never been like that. Yeah, it should have never been like that. But it's happening. It sucks. It's not cool. It's not. And guys, you all hear me say this all the time. You all hear me say this. At the end of a lot of my streams, I say, be kind to someone, be respectful, tell somebody that they matter because they do. And if no one's told you, you matter, let me tell you, you matter. There is a level of vitriol. There is a level of hatred. There is a level of, you are not like me. You are not deserving of respect that we see. And that's in large. That has nothing to do with sports in particular. That is where we are. That is where we are in our human existence. And truly, this won't change unless, in my opinion, people turn to Jesus. Literally, this won't change. This will continue to get worse. That is the only solution to this horrible human condition that we live in. Literally, that's the only solution. So it is what it is. Like we will continue to see this stuff happen. So yeah, I don't know, guys. That's the stream. That's the stream. There is only one real hope for humanity, for us to get it together. There is only one real hope, and everything else is terrible imitation. Terrible imitation. That's my thoughts right there, guys. I don't know what else to say. I really don't.